Hi, I'm Bonnie Kempke. Welcome to my studio and welcome to Quilting on a Thread. Today I'm sitting here in my planning nook of my studio so that I can talk to you about something I like to call divide and conquer. I'm working on a quilt that I have built out from a quilt that I found online. And so I want to give credit where credit is due. This was a free pattern that I got online by Riley Blake Designs called Anne of Green Gables. It was really a lovely, lovely pattern, but it's not big enough for what I want to do. This is a 64 inch by 64 inch pattern, and I want to do a 104 inch by 104 inch king size quilt. So I took Riley's design and I expanded it, and I used electric quilt and I expanded that pattern. I added more borders and I added more of her blocking systems. And then what I did when I realized that her directions in her quilt offer, the directions instruct you to build it out 4.5 inch square by 4.5 inch square across. Now, these 4.5 inch squares aren't all simply 4.5 inch squares. They're built out by 4.5 inch squares, and then they're built out by 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares that are joined together to create a 4.5 inch squares, and then they're built out by half square triangles that become 4.5 inch squares. And so that's a lot of moving parts. And for me, to be quite honest with you, 104 inch long seam staying straight, that's a rat's chase. I don't know that I can do that. I don't know that I could sit long enough to sew 104 inches and stay consistent and stay smooth. And so I like to do something that I call divide and conquer. And so in doing that, what I did is I looked at the pattern for repeatable squares. And I came up with 5 rows with 5 squares each. So there are 25 sub squares that will become the main field of my quilt. And so in doing that, then I go ahead and sort out my pieces and I label them. This happens to be row 1, square 2. So that's my super square, if you will. And the reason why I'm showing you row 1, square 2 is because, and you might have guessed this, I've already done row 1, square 1, and here she is. And if you look at that, I'll bring it in a little bit closer. You can see that all of my stitches are on point. And that's really what we want when we're creating our quilt bodies, is we want squares that are on point. For me, working with something that's 104 inches long, trying to stay on point, is just overwhelming. So I recognize that and I divide and conquer. We've all heard the phrase, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer to that is one bite at a time. So how do I work on a very large quilt body? I work one bite at a time. I hope that this is an idea that resonates with you and that you'll be able to use it in your quilting. And I hope to see you back here again on Quilting on a Thread. Bye-bye.